Joining me in the studio is Matthias Weik, investor and author of the book The Crash is the Solution, Why the Ultimate Collapse is Coming and How You Can Protect Your Wealth. Matthias, thank you very much for joining us today. Tell me more about your extremely pessimistic views and why you think a crash could be the solution.
They're not extremely pessimistic, they're realistic. I'm not a pessimist, I'm a realist, and if we see what's going out there, nothing has gone better since 2008. We just tripled the global debt from 100 trillion to 300 trillion. So we paid debt with new debt, and that won't work out. So it's a mathematical problem, and we should solve it now. Otherwise, the crash will be the solution.
What about Europe as a whole, though? Just concentrating on the eurozone, there's a banking union in place. Greece has managed to keep its head above water. There's growth. There's growth right throughout the eurozone. It's minimal, but the problems are being tackled one after the other. Do you not think that we're on a path that could get us somewhere, or do you think it's far past that?
It's far past that. For example, Greece is bankrupt. What is the superlative of bankrupt? There is not such a thing. So we have to relieve Greece out of the eurozone. We have to help them and support them, but they need their own currency. The same problem I see in France, in Spain, in Portugal. The euro is far too strong for them and far too weak for us. It's a money problem as well.
Well, talking about money, what about the costs involved of an entire country going bankrupt? The consequences as well, as far as a domino effect. Is that something you've factored into your book as well?
Yes, the cost will be immense, but better we finish it now and start from scratch than building up more and more and more debt, and the costs in the future will be much, much higher. But we can't solve the problem by printing money, what we're doing at the moment.
So we're only talking about a Grexit at the moment. We've got the Brexit as well, which is happening. What if it then comes to a Frexit and an Italexit?
It will come to a Frexit and to an Italexit. If we look at the countries, their economy is worse than before entering the euro. They've got very high unemployment rates, and that would be better off with their own currency. We need a strong economic union in Europe, otherwise we'll be lost. But we can't have the same currency in states like Greece on the one side and Germany on the other side. That won't work out.
So if the drachma comes back, if the lira comes back, what happens? Do we have a solution overnight, or does it mean years and years and years until we get back to perhaps where we were?
Oh, we lose probably a decade, but if we don't stop it now, we lose much more. We're just building up piles and piles of debt, and there's no solution. The European Central Bank is printing 60 billion per month. We've printed 1.5 trillion. Where should we go?
Matthias, we'll get back to you on that question in a moment. First, let's take a look at the situation for the Greeks. They're tired of the constant stream of new reforms, none of which seems to be doing the trick. The result? Strikes and protests around the country, which are increasingly ending in violence.
It's a catastrophe. We can't produce anything. The government has to go. We don't want it anymore. They're traitors and gangsters. They don't want us to work. They want to kill us off. They want to throw us out of Europe.
So what is the reality for the Greeks? Are we putting the Greeks, we being Europe, on a lifeline, which in any case could be cruel, or is there genuine help for the Greeks at the moment?
At the moment, we don't help the Greeks. We didn't save the Greeks with all the money. We saved the banks who lended the Greeks the money. But we should support the Greek people. If over 400,000 young people leave the country, a country without a youth has no future. So we really have to support Greece and not the banks.
Has Greece changed in any way? I mean, they're getting huge amounts of money from the EU. Before the crisis, a lot of them were living the life.
Yeah, it has changed, but now it's going backwards. If you're looking at the health system and all that stuff, that's going backwards and backwards, and the people are getting worse and worse off.
So the solution is to go back to the drachma, to set up, what, a multi-speed Europe, or what would you like to see?
For Greece, they will never ever pay that debt. Germany is the superpower and we don't pay a single cent back, so the Greece will never ever pay anything. We have to release the debt and then we have to support them and support the economy like Germany had after the Second World War, a so-called Marshall Plan. If we don't do that, the country will starve more and more, and more people will leave the country.
Matthias Weik, a man with some drastic measures for a drastic situation. Thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you.